Great for beginner corals. These little anthids are beautiful, but they're also kind of dangerous. And by that, they can probably kill you if you're not careful. One thing that makes them so great for a beginner coral is they're really easy to grow, really easy to propagate. You can frag these out so easily, but that's also what makes them kind of dangerous, because if you mash them and really injure them, they can release some palytoxins, and if it gets into your bloodstream, then it can really raise your blood pressure. It can raise your heart rate, breathing problems, flu-like symptoms. So they're kind of dangerous, but really, if you're careful, they're no problem. If you're a beginner just looking to put some color in your tank, they're great. You'll never have any problems with them. These I've had for quite a while. They grow just without having to do much of anything to them. Just give them light. They don't require a lot of light, although if you could get a little bit brighter light, it seems like they'll grow a little bit faster, as these guys did within, I would say, probably 2 months growth. That was just like 4 heads, but when I put it up close to the light, it just exploded. That, and I added magnesium, and it seems like when I did that, all my zoas grew exponentially. I've fragged out most everything. If you've looked in this tank, all my zoa frags, I've fragged out anything that I could frag out, and they're in another tank. So I'm fixing to really get into this thing. I've got some nice Green Bay Packers back there, and I'm not sure what the color of these are, what the name is actually, but I hope to look that up. I have this little mushroom here. It was kind of on the end of a scallop when I got it. I didn't even know what it was. It was so tiny, and it grew really well. But also, these zoas, you can feed them. I feed mine Reefroids every once in a while. It's not a requirement, because mine grew quite easily without even feeding them for a while. But these are also, zoas are also cheap. Well, relatively cheap, I say. And they're very colorful. It's a really good addition to the tank. They're really hardy. So if you're a beginner and looking for a good beginner coral, then zoas, I would think, would be my number one. And if you're worried about the dangers, and if you're fragging them, that's really going to be your only danger. Probably one of the things you would want to avoid is any rock that had any pallies or any zoas on them. You definitely, if you ever took it out of the tank, decided to boil it, which there was a family in Australia not too long ago who boiled some rocks that had some pallies on it, and it made the whole family sick. Had to be rushed to the emergency room. So don't want that getting into the air and getting into your lungs. This is another great beginner coral right here, the Duncan. This coral will keep you interested in it because you get to feed it. It's a must feed. You have to feed it. It likes a little light, but the feeding is a big thing. So it always makes you interested in this coral, and it grows, I wouldn't say fast, but you'll start noticing after about a month or so, you'll start noticing little bitty bumps, and then you'll start seeing like this one. This one I'd say is 3 months old, started with 3 heads. So it's progressed nicely. I think I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and I believe around here, if I can get it, there's 9. There might be one under there. So, but it's been really easy. They're very hardy, very easy to take care of. They're really nice colored. This was short tentacles when I got it. Just the heads had really small tentacles on it, but they have grown. And I have seen some that have very long tentacles on it, which really look nice in the current. But that would be my two if I was going after any corals and I was a beginner. It would be Zoas and the Duncan. That would be just for ease of care, beauty, ease of propagation. The Duncan will be a little harder to propagate. It's a lot harder of a coral, so you'll need a little saw, and so it provides a little challenge. And I've added hammer corals here, just a kind of a plain Jane. It's not really a purple tip, it's more of a pink tip, I guess, hammer, and it's grown. I think it's beginning to try to get two heads. It's kind of a branching hammer. And this I just added was my Australian multicolor. Now, I can't wait for it to kind of bloom out. When it was at the fish store, it was out, had a really big head on it, but as it's gotten here to my tank, I think I have a little more flow than they did at the fish store, so it's not quite as opened up. There is my other Duncan. I'm not sure what kind it is. It was closed up at the fish store. He had just gotten it in that morning, and then I got it, so it's not really happy. But it has begun to kind of sprout its tentacles a little bit. But I can't wait for that to open up. Hopefully that will be tomorrow. But one thing, guys, if you're looking to grow your zoas, now I'm going to say I've started adding high doses of magnesium, and it has made my colors really pop on my zoas. I've just turned the lights on, so they're not just real good right now, but I've noticed all of my zoas have gotten a really rich color to them. And I've also started adding iodide, strontium, and molybdenum, and that has I can tell the difference in some of my other frags. Unfortunately, I don't have any here to show. This is the only polyps I've got left. It's just one that was just stuck to the side of a frag plug, and this little guy that just wouldn't fit on my frag rack. So I've got to make a little bigger frag rack. There's my damsel trying to make an appearance, photobombing me. What a misleading name that is, a damsel. Look at the evil little scowl on this fish. It hasn't been a real aggressive fish. You know, I've heard of them wreaking havoc in a tank, but it hasn't. But it has stood its own against this murderer. He was also very interested and very hungry, I think, so I'm going to have to feed him. There's my Coral Beauty Angel. Of course, this clown has had a hand, I think, assisted suicide, you might call it, as in the fighting she has chased some out of the tank and led to their demise. But I love her anyway. It's pretty good fish. But I'll try to keep you informed. I'll tear into this in a few days and hopefully do a video on fragging. This is going to provide some challenges. It's a really jagged rock. So, and I'm going to try to get some of these off of the scallops. I'm sure they would appreciate it too. But I hope to see you in another video soon, guys. Please like and subscribe to my channel for all sorts of buffoonery. This is my vlog for today, so thank you and see you later.